spotlighting the triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominica. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday nights from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
Hello, hello, hello. 11 minutes past 8 o'clock. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. Good evening and welcome, one and all. Wherever you are this evening, tuned in and locked into the program, it is a pleasure to have you. I'm being reminded that it's 10 minutes past 8 o'clock. Yes, we normally have to allow, the previous folks in studios to depart and then to settle in ourselves to get the program going. So welcome to the program tonight. For the folks who are tuned in via radio but would like to be on social media, I want to let you know very early on that I am using the official page of the show tonight to go live. I want to lean more towards that. I've been using my personal page, but I think I need to utilize the program's page, a bit more. So just look for the In the Spotlight radio show. The Spotlight by itself as one word, radio show, and then you just like the page or you follow whatever it requests of you, and then you will be good to go with us live via the Facebook page. I have also shared it to the fans page. For whatever reason, I'm not able to share it to my personal page, but it's all good. You can also go to the fans page and you will find it there as well. So I hope that I am not causing many persons too much grief tonight. With the change, I should have mentioned earlier, but I did send the link via WhatsApp. So if you go to my WhatsApp now, you will definitely find the link to hook up and link up to the program tonight. It's going to be a wonderful one. I'm quite excited about the program. So let's just begin by welcoming everyone. Welcome again to our listeners and those of you who are viewing via social media. We're always very, very happy to have you. Don't forget our social media platforms. We have our YouTube channel. It's my YouTube channel, but of course, items for the program are channeled through my YouTube channel as well. Not the lives as yet. We will get to there at some point. But if you wish to, I would like if you would subscribe to my page. It's Ferdina Frampton. So please feel free to hop on across to YouTube and subscribe. We also have the In the Spotlight radio show page, which, as I said, is what we're utilizing tonight to go live on the program. And I hope that you are able to navigate your way around and to find the page. If not, if you are in one of my WhatsApp groups, you should have received the link, so you can go there and click on the link and join us on the program for tonight. Let me as well request of you, if you would like to make a contribution to the program, you can do so via Cash App, and of course the $sign Spotlighters. SPOTLIGHTERS. Hi Sabina, good evening, hope you are well. And we also have our mobile banking if you wish to make a contribution. The number is 767-235-7565. That's the username, and the account number is 100069592. We always need to acknowledge the folks who support us in what we do, and it all begins with you, my dear fans and listeners. Thank you for always tuning into the program. We want to acknowledge Q95 FM Radio, Mr. Gregoire, and the team, Sherwin, who is always here providing his support in getting us ready to go. So thank you, Sherwin, and the team here at Q95. Josephine Gabriel and the company, they are the agents for Barefoot Wine and the Tropical Water, and we thank them as always for their support. Jordan Jerome, aka GK767 of What's This? And now he's doing, some really cool stuff, producing skits, he calls them, with mentions for companies, and he's only charging $50. And, I really have to applaud Jordan for being innovative and finding ways to supplement, his business in these difficult COVID times, which in many ways I'm sure would have affected how he normally operates. So kudos to you, Jordan, and I hope that other persons can support. I did, and yes, I paid him. I supported him, and I thank him for the wonderful skit that he produced and incorporated in the Spotlight Radio show. I have to acknowledge as well Akim Lowe, and Akim, is a really, really good graphic designer and other things, and he continues to provide me with all my artwork for the show. And Akim, I really do appreciate you. A little headache he gives me sometimes, occasionally, but I love him all the same, and I thank him for his very, very good work that he continues to do for the In the Spotlight radio show. So that is how we begin this evening. And again, don't forget that you need to go to the In the Spotlight radio show page if you would like to see what's happening on social media. And you should as well, you can go to the In the Spotlight radio show fans page as well and get connected to the show tonight. 17 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. I want to as well, before I do anything else, to extend birthday greetings in advance to my sister Gail. She's celebrating her birthday today. I celebrated my birthday on Thursday, the 11th of November, which is observed as Veterans Day in the US and other areas as well. And my sister Gail celebrates on the 16th, which is tomorrow. So happy birthday to you in advance, Gail. I hope you were able to find the link and to go to the page so that you can get on to the program tonight. So enough of the chit chat, enough of the introduction. We do have a wonderful guest in studios tonight, folks. This is a lady I have not seen in ages. From the time I was at DBS Radio, that was April gave me 16 years at Cable and Wireless. So I left DBS a long time ago. No, I'm not that old. But a long time ago, and imagine I saw her even before that. And to learn that she was in Dominica, not for the best of reasons, but all the same, I was pretty happy to know that she was in Dominica and that I could get her to be on the program here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, a short break, and then we're coming back to introduce our guest on the program tonight. This is the In the Spotlight radio show with your host, Ferdina Frampton. We're coming right back.
In the Spotlight on 95 FM radio, every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominica life, spotlighting the triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and the side of
Nice to see you, Matt.
Nice to see you. I'm calling tomorrow.
Okay, cool. No problem.
begun. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the spotlight, we also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday nights from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
And we are all set and ready to go across to our guest and say good evening and welcome, one and all. Good evening, Miss Bethel.
Good evening, Ferdina, and all those following on social media and listening.
Miss Bethel, Miss Deborah Bethel is her name. And Miss Bethel is someone that I knew during my days at DBS Radio. And at the time, Ms. Bethel was the main person, the main health professional who went around on the radio educating the masses and educating the people. Nurse Deborah Bethel, it was a pleasure to see you a couple of days ago. And even when we were, talking, it was not until you removed the mask that it all came back to me in such a tremendous way. I'm so thankful that during your time here in Dominica that you have decided that you wish to join me on this program here this evening, and I am extremely happy not only to see you but to have you on the program and to hear from you so that you can share with us. Ms. Bethel, again, an opportunity here to say good evening to some folks. People who may be tuned in, you may not be able to remember everybody, but there may be one or two persons you definitely wish to highlight.
Yes, I want to say a big thank you first to God, who really brought me this far. And I also want to say thank you to all who responded. I want to say something though, that I have never been on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. But Chanel Jolly Bethel, who is my first son's wife, has been so instrumental in letting all this happen. And I really want to thank her, thank Ferdina, QFM, and all those who responded on even the promotion. Chanel took screenshots and sent it to me because I don't have a Facebook page, and I was so humbled by all these comments, and it really gives me pleasure to reach out to people. This is my passion, and it's not going to leave, it's here to stay. And there's so much I want to do. God give me life, I want to give back. I've retired twice. Retired from Dominica, nursing in Dominica after 27 years in 2005, and I went up to the USA. I worked last for the Department of Public Health, Massachusetts Department of Public Health, for 10.5 years, and I recently retired. I'm ready to give back. I'm ready to be grateful, thankful, appreciative, and show it. And I know I've done a lot, but there's still more to be done. Lots more to be done. I also want to thank all those who through the years have been supporting me, who have remembered me, who have called out to me and even asked for me. And every time I return to Dominica, people would express how they miss me. And I know there's a lot of work to be done, but we need more people on this bandwagon. We can do it. Dominica, we can do it. And I don't want to say I've given up on Dominica. Giving up is not an option, as my son Karen would always tell me. Mommy, giving up is not an option. And for me, this is what we need. We need to band together. We need to come together. Unity is strength. And anytime we think of why we are here, our purpose for living, loving, we will be on the right track. So let's let it happen.
I love that opening, Ms. Bethel. I absolutely love that opening. So there is so much that we are going to talk about tonight on the program. I know two of the key areas that you would wish to talk about is mental pain and physical pain.
Yes.
But we are going to save that for a little later.
No problem.
We need to getting to know you, getting to know all about you. We're going to do a bit of that tonight. All right, so Ms. Bethel, tell us first about your community, from where you're from.
I come from a small community called Newtown, Charlottesville, and I lived there for about the first 8 to 9 years of my life. Then I moved on with my parents and my siblings to Madrell, 2nd Avenue in Louvier, and there's where I spent the great part of my life. And then I moved on to not far away, Wall House, where I built my house and started living in Wall House. And it was from there that I left to go to the States.
Okay. Let us learn a bit about your background, and I want to first of all extend my deepest condolences to you on the passing of your mom. It is my understanding that that is the reason why you returned to Dominica at this time. So my sincerest condolences. Please tell us about her a little bit.
Oh, this was a powerhouse. She was a powerhouse. And I don't want to break down, but this lady meant so much to me. And she taught me the biggest and the greatest thing one could ever own in life. That's a prayer life. I learned to pray. I learned so many prayers. When I could not, did not have the pamphlet or the book, she actually wrote the prayers for me. She taught me how to trust God. She taught me about life, how to cook, how to wash. She taught me to be a full woman. And I'll be forever grateful to her. I miss her because I left at a time when I think I should have been there. But other circumstances, sometimes you just have to move on. There were other things in my face that were very important. And I didn't leave her stranded, but I miss her. There's so much more I wanted to do for her. There's so much more I could not have done. I could not do. And for what she taught me, I couldn't be anything else without her being my mother. She was my mother. We called her my mother. A lot of people knew her other names like Matthew and Mrs. James, but she was my mother. She was strong, she was powerful, and she taught you lessons. One thing she always told me is that, Deborah, if everybody says they like you, something is wrong with you. She says to me, Deborah, good name is good for a dame. Sorry, on the phone, on the radio. But these were her words. And she said, you have to stand up, you have to be outspoken. And I learned to be an assertive person because she was a no-nonsense woman. I learned to be assertive, outspoken, but it comes with a price. And I've paid that price for many, many years. But I don't care because with God, faith has taken over my fears.
How old was Mommy?
She was 89 years old.
She was 89. What was she like? You know, what did she do for a living? What type of person was she?
Well, when I grew up, I knew my mom at home, but apparently she left when I was about probably 2 or 3 to go to England, where she got married. And then she spent about a year and 6 months in England and came back home. I cannot remember that period of time.
Okay, you were a baby.
I was a toddler. But what I remember is her coming back home with 3 pretty dresses. A yellow, a pink, another pink. My cousin Urfa got 1 and I got 2. I remember these pretty dresses. One had an apron. I can still see them. So I remember that. I couldn't remember when she left. But I remember her coming back with these pretty dresses, and she was always there for us, and she vowed when she came home that she would never leave her children to go anywhere again. And even when she got a pass to go to Curacao, she gave it to her sister so that she could be with her children and give us the best that she could. She wasn't able to do so much, but what she taught us, what she taught me, what I learned from her was worth so much. And it is all what she taught me that has me as strong as I am today, because I have been through a lot, but because of the strength that I drew from her, from what she said to me, how I prayed, I was able to make it. And I thank God for my mom, Helen Cecilia Walsh James.
Did she have a good send-off?
She did, and I wanted that. Initially, I would say when she passed, I said I wasn't coming because I don't know how I was able to deal with my emotions. But then time passed, and then last minute, I think she had a hand in making it happen. Because it just happened, and everything went so quickly, so swiftly. I was able to reach in time. I reached Dominica at 5 a.m. this Sunday, and she was ready to rest on the Monday morning. So this was, and it was on Imo News. It was a beautiful send-off, and I mean, her faith partners were there, her prayer group, the legionaries, what she really, really lived for. This was a prayer warrior. She based her whole life on faith in God, and knew that God would see her through whatever it is, and she passed it on to everybody who met her.
And again, I'm sorry for your loss, and I
Thank you.
extend that on behalf of myself and the fans of the program. And they too can feel free to extend condolences via the comment section of the program. What about your father? Did you have a father figure in your life?
Not at all good things, but initially my father came from England, and we were at Material, and he was not the best father, and he wasn't what a father really ought to be. And I must say, when I realized that this wasn't what I needed in my life, I actually ran away from home.
You did?
At 14. Yeah.
Where did you run to?
I ran to my sister's house. I was sleeping on the floor, but I was at peace. And a lot of my troubles began there because I didn't have any support. My mother could not support me financially. But I wanted to be free. I'm a free spirit. I didn't want anybody to control that part of me. And I was born that way. Always wanting to be who I want to be and not letting other people decide or determine who I should be. I always had that sense. And sometimes I joke around and I say, but I was here before. Because a lot of how I feel and what I feel is like something that I lived already with. So it was so easy, and actually it was my high school years, and it was one of the most traumatic events of my life. That's why I want to talk about mental pain, because mental pain is just as bad as physical pain, but we'll get to that later. And my childhood years, my high school years, it was rough. It was hard. It was bitter.
Give us a picture of what you had to deal with, what you endured.
Well, to start off, I went to the St. Martin Primary School. I sat the common entrance, I passed, but I guess I didn't pass high enough. I did not get a seat at any of the high schools. No, so I had to go back to the St. Martin School. But again, prayer.
Even then you knew the importance of prayer?
Oh yes, very, very, very early. To the point that if my father would catch me with a prayer book or a pamphlet, he would tear it. I was praying. I followed my mother for a very long time, very early. And when I started when I went back to St. Martin School, all of a sudden in October, the Dominica Grammar School opened its doors to girls in 1972.
Oh my God, I'm shivering.
So that was an answered prayer right there. Strong testimony. That was an answered prayer, because if I hadn't gone to grammar school, gone to high school, maybe I would not become what I wanted to be. Maybe I would not become a nurse, because it comes, being a nurse, being in certain professions comes with a really strong educational background, and I would not have had that. And I want to big up the DGS 7250 group chat, which was started by Lincoln, Scotland. So many of us who entered grammar school during that year, in that year 1972, we are now on a special group chat.
Nice.
So there's real camaraderie there. Back to the high school.
Yes.
So my high school days were.
So how did you get into grammar school?
Through Mr. Goff. I later learned on a post by one of the same on the group chat, I think it's Gabriel Christian, that Mr. Goff at the time asked the government, the Ministry of Education, to open the grammar school to girls.
Mm-hmm.
And that gave many of us an opportunity who went back to primary schools, who was not accepted by high schools, to get a high school education.
Did you have to sit the exam again?
No, we did not, because the school opened in September and we were brought into, I think, in October. So we were all common entrance students who were just not placed in a high school yet.
Okay.
And and I want to say this to let people know that even if you are struggling, even if life seems hard and it's not working out, have faith. Have faith. And you don't have to believe me, I say, try it. Because I think, and I know, I don't want to think, I know it is the faith, my faith in God, that has brought me thus far. Because I went to high school without sometimes breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I had to wake up 6:30, wake up early, do the pigs, feed the fowls. I still had to go for grass, then go in the afternoon. I had a lot of work to do, and I would have to leave Margaret at 6:30 to start walking down from Louvier to grammar school every single morning, rain or shine. Yes, rain or shine, and at 1 o'clock, I still had to walk back home. So it was not easy, but you know, God has a plan for every man. And I kept holding on to that, and I eventually finished. It was hard. Sometimes I didn't even have a school shoe. I didn't have a pair of shoes. I remember once watching a girl who had more than one pair. And I'm a humble person. I went to her and I said, please, can you give me a pair of shoes so I can go to school? Because I didn't have any shoes to go to school.
Did she give it to you?
She did give it to me. Her name was Marcia.
God bless her.
If Marcia is listening, thank you so much, Marcia. I would have to sometimes tie my foot to make it look like I had something, just to go with a shoe that was not good. And it was rough. I didn't have meals all the time. Sometimes I would go home and it's the same coconut that my father had for the falls. I would eat and go back to school. When I reached where we call, I don't know if some people know where we call Lally Coconut Stretch.
Mm-hmm.
I would walk back to school. I would vomit all the coconut there. And I still went on. I was involved in very many activities at school. I was an athlete. I was in the drama club. I was in the singing choral. That's where I met Mr. Olin Bully and Michael Bruni, deceased. This is where I met all these people, and Mrs. Ophelia, Olivache Marie. I cannot sing the best, but when I sing in church in Boston, the people say, oh, Debbie, you can sing. I said, a lady back home taught me something, and maybe it's working.
Yes, I'm sure she's listening, so please say good night to her.
Good night to you, Ophelia, and Mr. Bully too. I know is not
very well.
He's not very well. I want to remember him in a very special way because I joined I was involved in his drama club at grammar school, and then I was so taken up with the drama. I saw Arnold and Noreen big up. Commented that I was a dramatist. I joined the People's Action Theatre and I toured with them for some of the plays. And Mr. Bully was, I mean, this is a cultural icon. He did a lot for Dominica, and a lot of the songs that he had in some of the plays that he wrote still stay with me today. And one of the songs that I really want to tell him that I really love is the Cicero. He made, I don't know if he wrote the song, I cannot tell you. I tried to get some information, but it was too soon. I didn't get it. And the synopsis is that the Cicero was taken from its habitat, and you know, we had it in the gardens, in that enclosure, and there was that song. And I would like to just sing a little of it for him if I can.
Absolutely.
It's not the best because I was exposed to a lot of smoke inhalation and it made a number on my voice.
Okay.
So please excuse my voice if I missed it. And this is for you, Mr. Bully. All I want is a small taste of freedom.
Oh.
Free to choose where to set up my kingdom. Free to love, free to cry, free to rise above this boredom. Free to choose where to fly. Free to choose where to die. Land of 1,000 shades of green, how I long for your touch, how I hunger so much, long to feel your fertile love, long to show them what you're worth to me. Make me free, make me free. When I've had that small taste of freedom, then I'll move out of slavery and serfdom. I'll move on and I'll reach high, reach my own celestial kingdom, free to choose where to fly, free to laugh, free to cry, free to choose where to die.
I definitely need to applaud you, and I'm sure that the listeners are doing the same as well. That was very beautifully done.
Also, Mr. Oren Boli, he taught me this. We sang it. I don't know if he made. I think he wrote it because I know he wrote the flag.
How long ago did you learn that song?
That is during my high school years.
And you remember it so well?
And there are more. And I have one to sing when we finish.
That's all right. I would welcome that.
Because there was so much that kept me grounded. Music, the drama, and it created a balance. During the stress, this was the balance, the theater, the drama. And I'm forever grateful because looking back, I think that's why I kept on track. The prayers and the whole understanding that life is not all about the hard part, the bad parts. There's a lot of good.
I wonder if I'm not sure if this song is recorded, is it? I wonder if somebody today would love to, record.
Oh,
yes,
that would be so good.
It's a beautiful song.
It is because it speaks to Dominica. It speaks to us, and as it talks about the Cicero that was taken from its habitat, and as if it was the Cicero saying, "I want to be free." This is a land of 1,000 shades of green, and I long for its touch, its fertile soil. Don't put me in a cage. And we can turn it around and apply to our own lives. And this is what I did. And Mr. Bully was really, really, really creative. And he's a gem. When it comes to culture, creativity, the writing of the plays, I mean, as far as Nightbox and all these people, all these plays, and it was just so good for Dominica during this time.
And it was good for you.
And it was so good for me. I think this was after the press that created the balance that I needed at the time, because it was very, very hard for me, but I plunged on and I did what I had to do, and I completed. I graduated from the Dominica Grammar School in 1978, and I now hold 7 GCE level subjects. So if I didn't get that opportunity to go to high school, I could have been deemed a worthless child with no potential.
Nothing to offer.
Nothing to offer. And there is that one little opportunity that made me, that gave me that stepping stone to become somebody that I am satisfied. I really wanted to do medicine, but I could not go to sixth form college, and even when I tried, I was stopped. But that's another story for another day. But I am satisfied with where I am today because I've achieved quite a bit from these beginnings.
I just want to go back a bit earlier on before we continue along that trend. When you spoke about leaving, running away, and then you went to live with your sister, sorry. I cannot help but think about something you said. You said you were at peace, and that was more important to you than anything else, even if you have to sleep on the bed.
On the floor,
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm listening to you speak tonight, Ms. Bethel, and you also come across as someone who is at peace. What is the importance of this peaceful element that you speak to in terms of being in that peaceful place?
I refer to it as the people who I speak to probably on a personal level more or less, or speak to more often. I refer to it as being in that place. I'm in that place. Open and close quotation. And it took me years to be in that place. There was the good, the bad, and the ugly. But at the end of the day, I had to really filter, sift through, and choose. And I chose peace. And it does not mean that there is no noise around you, as the one saying goes. But when there is all that noise around you and you can still feel peace within you, you are in that place. And it will not come overnight. It will not come without a lot of pain. It will not come without a lot of traumatic events. But you have to just focus and do what it takes to make it happen. And what I can say is prayer. Prayer. Prayer, prayer. I have always tried my best to stay as close to God as possible, and even when things wasn't working out, I still trusted that eventually something will come through, and it came through every time. Every time, God came through for me. I want to just jump ahead. My children and I
was just about to tell you, before we go further, let us talk a bit about your family, because you are somebody I want to hear how your family turned out. If you created your own family, not having your mom there for some time, the situation with your dad. What has family been like for you?
Family is big, and I wish my family was one that I refer to as a dream family, harmony, tranquility. But we must admit, no trigger, that there are many dysfunctional families. Very, very dysfunctional, not so dysfunctional, and extremely dysfunctional. So my family is not the most functional family, and those who know us can attest to that and can understand. And my own immediate family, I have 5 sons. And
Only boys only?
Only boys. I adopted one girl from 5 months, Diane. And but I made my biological children 5 sons, and I was married, and I got divorced too, and I had to move away to a place where I felt that I could allow my children to become something that I wanted them to become. Dominica was not going to let it happen, because after the divorce, no trigger, it was another traumatic experience. I was left alone to fend for these children, clothe, feed, shelter, everything. And despite how many trips to the court, no support financially. And when I reached a point where I had to leave the home and see who I find in Rosa to borrow me money to buy bread for my children, I said, God, this is it. This is it. I surrender. I'm at your mercy. Do with me what you will. And they had an agency, World Health, I can remember the rest, that came to Fort Young, and I said, Lord, I'm going. If it is your will, you will let it happen.
And they came to Fort Young for what
They came to
purpose?
Fort Young to recruit nurses.
Okay.
And I was one among the many nurses who went. But with the faith that if it does not have to be, I'm okay. God's will be done. So I went. And it took me 2 years to get everything together, because it was me, no money, and 5 children.
Mm-hmm.
And after 2 years, I called touchback base with the hospital in Pennsylvania, and they says to me, ma'am, we have the full quota. We have gotten the full quota. But that wasn't it. That wasn't the end. God was there. He was right there. The lady then continued. Her name is Deb Sharrow. Some people I names I'll never forget. She said, but Mrs. Bethel, I'm going to send you the hospital's tax papers so you and your children can get a green card. And that's exactly what she did. And I went to Barbados, my children and I, and we got a green card. In 2005, February, we left for America. And today, me, my children, all 5 of my children and I are American citizens.
Gosh, you're going to be having me shivering all
So
night during
this is God, y'all. This is God.
So
nobody else could do this.
So they told you that they had reached the quota of nurses they needed.
Because after 2 years, they were not going to sit and wait on me. And
so why did it take you 2 years though?
Because I did not have the money.
Remember, so you had to pay your own way.
Yes, I had to put stuff together, and you have to be
and
paying
the boys.
for this and paying for that. It was me, no money, and 5 children.
And 5 children.
And when I left Dominica, I left with 100 US in my purse and 5 children.
So your children were in tow with you?
Oh yes, I was not leaving my children behind for anybody. No, these were my children, and I had taken full responsibility for them. By that time I had gotten a divorce, and the courts had given me full responsibility. And I couldn't bear to know my children when somebody else is scared and they were not looking after them, the way I would have looked after them. And with God's help, I was able to bring them up the best way I can. And today, I'm still pleased, and I'm happy, and I thank God. So I'm not saying that to be boastful or sound like a brother, but to just show people that sometimes we have to make serious decisions. Move on. It's not going to change. And I lost my bigger brother last year to COVID in Brooklyn. And I remember him coming to my house in Wallows. And I never forgot those words when he told me, Deborah, you're just holding on to something that has been lost.
And already. That's your marriage.
And my marriage, yes. And then Father Moody again played a part in it.
I remember
and
Father
they
Moody
made me see the need to move on. Because it's a pain. It is a pain that you want to let it go, but you still keep holding on to it. And to women out there, you know I'm outspoken, I'm not going to mix matters of sugarcoat. These men are losers. The men who give us children and just walk away and figure they can be in every other bed that is available in Dominica to jump in, they're losers. Don't waste your time. Move on.
Move on.
You got a whole world waiting on you. A whole world ready and waiting.
And you found that out.
And I found that out. And when the pain leaves you, you do not know. When that pain left me, I don't know. I just know I didn't have it again. But it does not come without faith in God and prayer and doing the right thing. The man cannot be going up and you're going down. No. You got to stay where you are in God's way. You got to help. You got to help the poor. You got to reach out for people. Go the extra mile. Invest. It's that bank which is not physical you're investing in. Your nothing can touch your investment. It's just waiting on you. But you can only get it after you've put in. You have to earn it. It's not going to just come your way. Be strong, women. We can do it. I don't want to bring all men down.
Yes.
There's some wonderful fathers I admire. But for most part, there's some deadbeat ones that only have regrets for their pillow. Regrets. That's all they lie on every night. Regrets. Regrets become their pillow. Because right now I have 5 grown men. Grown men.
What's your youngest?
22. And he's the only one at home with me now.
Everybody else has...
Everybody has gone on their way. I have 2 grandchildren, a granddaughter, Kyla, and just had a baby grandson, Kayla.
See you smile.
And I'm so proud. I love them. And I'm waiting to go back to them because my granddaughter's mom told me last week. She said she must have asked, she keep asking for a grandma. And she must have told her that her grandma is not there, she says, and she could play for friends. She said she don't want to play for friends, she wants her grandma. So that in itself, and there's so much waiting for us. And sadly, I know many women who've died of broken hearts, who have wasted away. Stress is a killer, y'all. Stress can take you down. And if it doesn't take you down in months, it will take you down in years. And I see today, even now I come back and I see some people and I am at a loss for words because I know they've been there in that stressful marriage and they've stayed. And who is suffering today? They are the ones suffering today. Wake up, women. Be strong. There's so much out there. There's so much out there waiting. We cannot sit down and let these men think they can determine what we should be. We are more than this. And I'm not talking about just women who have high school education. No, I'm talking to every single woman out there. And when I look at where we're going in Dominica, there's work to be done. And a lot of work to be done. And I can say the where we should really start is with my pet peeve: health and family life education, because it encompasses so much: creative thinking, critical thinking, patriotism, self-esteem, self-concept, self-perception. It's made up of so many social and health issues. It covers this whole being, holistic. That's where we should go back to and start formulating great families, because this is the foundation. Our health is our wealth, but family life is very important.
Nurse Bethel, it is 2 minutes past 9 o'clock. Again, we really just want to welcome everyone again to the program, wherever you're tuned in or locked in from. And again, we are live tonight via our social media. For the first time, we are actually live via our In the Spotlight radio show page. So if you're wondering and you would like to link up with us, you can go and search for In the Spotlight radio show, and then you can follow or like whatever it asks you to do, and you can join in the social media elements of the program. We are live tonight with Nurse Deborah Bethel, and I'm really truly happy. She's been so powerful already so far through the program. We're just going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Ms. Bethel, we're going to go back to when you left the Dominica Grammar School. You said you left with your 7 subjects, and that you had the opportunity to get in there. Although you had passed common entrance, you were not able to get into any of the schools on the island until the Dominica Grammar School opened up its doors to females, and you were able to get into the Dominica Grammar School. So that's where we left off in the progression. So we're going to come back to that in just a while. This is the In the Spotlight radio show on Q95. Stay tuned.
On one with interesting personalities, educational and informative topics and issues, intriguing and entertaining. A must listen to. In the Spotlight, Monday nights from 8 p.m. on Q95. Thank you for listening to In the Spotlight. We would love to.
In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting the triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday nights from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
And we are back at 5 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. Again, we thank you for joining us for the In the Spotlight radio show tonight. And we acknowledge all our viewers, all our listeners, and all the supporters of the program. If you're just tuning in, we're live in studios with Nurse Deborah Bethel, whom I remember, as I indicated earlier on, very well from my days at DBS Radio, when she would come on the radio to speak, just as she is tonight, about health. And Ms. Bethel, as I indicated before the break, the last you told us in terms of your education, you got into the Dominica Grammar School and you were able to get an education there, a secondary school education, one that you almost missed the opportunity to have, were it not for the Dominica Grammar School saying, we are happy to have girls come to the Dominica Grammar School and get an education. What was the uniform like?
It was the skirts, khaki skirts, and there was no tie. We had the press and the shirt jacks, and we were told to be modest. And we had a teacher, Mr. Sulaiman Shilinghor. He was a Muslim. I always remember him telling us we have to be modest, put our skirts a little longer, and because there are boys around, and really leading us on to the moral aspect of it. And for this, I was grateful too. So on leaving grammar school,
we're not leaving grammar school yet. So what was it like though, going to secondary school where there were boys present?
Well, them boys, I meet them on the group chat, and some of them, I tell them they were on the girls' case, they were, and we had a lot of situations where we actually had to mingle with the boys to do some like projects, skits. Mr. Bodi used to make us do a lot of skits during drama. We had speech and drama sessions, and but the boys sometimes would want to go a little
They
over the
would
top.
tease you?
They would tease us and they would make fun of us sometimes. But apart from that, they were very protective. I had one boy, one of them I remember, Panman, Albert Bellos.
Yes, sometimes.
Yes, and he was very protective. And they would take my chair because the grammar school had 2 sets of chairs, the wooden ones and the very cold ones. We used to call them the 480 chairs. They were silver. So I would come very early every morning because remember I walked from Loubier and I would have this wooden chair. I would take my chair, and for some reason somebody would take my chair, and the classroom would be on fire. I want my chair. I want my chair. And I would stand up to them. I stand up to them, boys. I stood up to them. I wasn't afraid of them at all. And up to now, some of them remind me. Yeah, I've always been an assertive, outspoken person. But it was good because it helped me to really see another side. Although I had brothers, but the school experience with boys was much different. Was more because I spent more time with them than at home because the school hours were long. So the interaction made me stronger, made me understand the other sex much better. And we agreed to disagree, but at the end of the day, we were one. There was a strong school community, and I was doing the sports, so I was in Dupini House, running all these races, cross country. Nobody could beat me that much. No, I ran almost every race. 100, 200, 400, 800, mile, relay, cross country. So I was, and I would get a lot of prizes when it was prize giving time.
Is there any particular reason why you were drawn to all of those extracurricular activities?
I think it was to take me off from what I was going through because at the time I think, even when I left home, they were, I did not refer to them as demons because sometimes in the household things just not right. It's functional homes. And I was able to see that whilst don't know if my other siblings, I was talking to some of them, noticed, but I was always more observant. From very young, I always had that keen eye and keen ear, and I knew something was wrong. And I wanted to, and I just didn't leave. After I left, I went back to the window, to the wall, and always pressured my mother to get my siblings out of it because she was on the weaker side and she wanted that support. Although I was the 3rd child, I passed like the first because I was more outspoken and
more mature.
And yeah, because at 10 years I was already baking for the house. I was already baking bread for the house. I was already taking over the things that a 10-year-old should not do, but I was doing it. I was walking during the summertime from Loubier to Newton to carry lunch for my uncle every single day and walk back.
Wow.
Yeah, and I always had an attraction to the less fortunate, the elderly. I would go carry water for the older ladies in the community like my Florence and Leo, and I would get their meals for them, go make the message for them. So I always surrounded myself with these older people.
So you are perfect candidate for nursing.
Yes, I think that is where I got. I think it was just I was born to be that. And although when I left school, I did not go into nursing immediately because they were not ready.
Okay.
So I applied and I taught for.
So that's what happened. So let's talk about what happened after grammar school.
Yes. So I graduated from grammar school and I started working as a substitute teacher at the St. Martin's Primary School for a year whilst I was waiting for them to call us. So in October of 1980, they called and Sister Georgina at the time wanted me to stay teaching. I said to her, nursing is my passion, sister. So I left teaching and I started at the nurses' hostel. But my main focus at that time was on my mother and my siblings.
Okay.
Because the house my mother had moved to after she left that stormy marriage was a very old house on the roadside, those who know Loubier. And it was full of bed bugs because an older lady was living there, not clean. And I said these things to tell people, when you see people winning or people doing well, don't hit them, don't bash at them. I come from way long. I saw all colors of misery.
Clap for nurse. Send her some love. You see that statement? Yes.
And today, I thank God and all the other people who truthfully made it happen. Because I remember my mother scrubbing the floors with coterie. I remember Ferdina studying for GCU level on the floor, sleeping on the floor with a lantern and bed bugs biting me. You hear me?
I hear you.
This is what I endured. So I've been through a lot of traumatic experiences, but you know what? It was not the end. It was not the end because I kept a prayer life going. And I made the best out of it. And I promised my mother as soon as I started working, I would take her out from that bedbug house. By that time, she had scrubbed it off and we were clean and we were good. But the house was very old. No toilet, no bathroom, I had to carry water, live outside. And it was not the best situation for us. And as soon as I started working, I rented the downstairs house of the Matthews in Madrid for $180 a month on my student's salary. I also paid the lights. I paid the OT bills. I sent my last brother and sister to school. I made groceries. So when the student nurses were going to town and saying they're going to buy shoes and clothes, and I could not because I was attending to my mother and my siblings.
Your family.
Yes, I did not want my mother to be in that old house, and I was working. And that is why I pushed and pushed and pushed. Education is key. Education can propel you up the social ladder, and people need to know that. Even if you come from a house on 4 pieces of coconut trees, you cannot stay in it and start making children and say, okay, that's what my mother gave me. No, they're supposed to go and you're supposed to be able to put some blocks up, but education can do it. Education can propel you up the social ladder, and this is what education did for me.
Mm-hmm. So you went to nursing school. What was the nursing school experience itself like for you?
It was good, it was great, it was one of the few, I think I was the one before the last group that really had the hands-on experience. We were actually on the wards working. We were not in the classrooms all the time. And this was the time when there was no technology like it now. We were shaking the thermometers with the mercury line. We were attaching the blood pressure cuff with the bulb to squeeze on the sphygmomanometer. So we didn't have all this beautiful technology that is now present in nursing. We had to do a lot of the things like, not primitive, but not modern.
Mm-hmm.
And we endured. We learned a lot too. There was so much to learn because at the bedside, you had a clear view of what the patient is like. And if you had a keen ear and eye, you were able to identify the pain, the joy, and every patient was different. Every patient came to you as a patient, as somebody needing love, respect, dignity. Whether all the nurses caught on, not sure, but I did. And it is from there that I know respecting a patient and being a strong advocate for a patient is very, very, very important. And my heart was already nursing. I just put it into action. And after 40 years, I am the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Even working in America,
Mm-hmm.
the nurses say, they be my angel when I appear in their rooms, you know. There was so much that I had to give. So much, and so many people were hurting out there, and as nurses, we need to recognize that people are hurting. And people come to hospital, people come to help for healthcare because they are hurting, not because they just want to come. So pushing them away, making them feel less of, not respecting them. I don't care who they are. I don't care. It could be the man in tackles and have torn clothes. I give the person the same respect. And I showed that when I worked with the people living with HIV and AIDS before I left for America.
Mm-hmm.
I showed people that being there with these people, it was not magical. It was being who you were as a nurse, or who you are as a nurse. And this is what we are called to do as nurses.
So you cared. It wasn't
Yeah.
just about a salary for you.
It wasn't.
It was about caring for people
Yeah.
and ensuring that they were comfortable, that they felt like almost being at home
Yes.
in your care.
Yeah, and the two leading newspapers, I don't know if you remember the Chronicle and I think it's the Sun. Just before I left, they made me Health Personality of the Year.
Is that so?
Yeah, because I had done a lot and I wasn't doing it for show.
No, of course
I want
I
to
don't
say
believe
I'm
you
a
were.
very humble person, and what I did for these people was what I think everybody should be able to do. But unfortunately, we are not all cut from the same cloth. And the few of us that are, we can only be shining examples so others can take note. Because even when I worked with the people living with HIV and AIDS, that's just a little aside, there was no HIV and AIDS medication. And I remember going to Mr. Roosevelt Skerritt as the Prime Minister, and I told him, and he says to me, "Miss Bethel, I'm traveling this afternoon. If you can bring me an invoice before 12 o'clock, it will be done." And I took my little green buggy I had as a pram, and I
But it
ran.
wasn't brown.
It wasn't a new car, but it took me far and wide,
Yes.
all over Dominica.
Yes.
And I went to the extramural department because Mrs. Edith Berotalian, may her soul rest in peace, my mom, may her soul rest in peace, had told me, we were speaking and she told me her daughter was a doctor in St. Kitts and was working with HIV and AIDS. So I ran there and I said, "Please, can you ask her to send me an invoice for some HIV medication?"
Oh my God.
And I took it, I put it in, she put an envelope for me, and I ran back and I delivered it.
Before
to
12.
them. Yes. And by the next 2 weeks, people living with HIV and AIDS had medication.
So he kept his word.
Yes.
Bring it to him before
Yes.
midday,
Yes.
and he will assist.
Yes, and from that, unfortunately for some of my patients, it was too
A
late,
little too
but
late.
for a lot of them, benefited from it.
Benefited from it.
So I must applaud Mr. Roosevelt Skerritt, Mr. Roosevelt Skerritt for that, because I was an advocate for these people, because I
Did you
needed
continue to
them.
get medication
Yes,
after that?
yes, a lot of them continued to get medication, but a lot of them, some of them had developed the full-blown AIDS. The nutrition, the social, a lot of other factors played a part in whether they could continue living that kind of optimum health that they required to live to survive. So it was shortly.
Just sorry, last week I repeated a program. Oh, by the way, folks, the program last week was a repeat from 2013. I had actually done a little intro that should have gone before to give you that bit of information, but for whatever reason, that didn't exactly work out. But that program last week was one of the programs that I did the first year I started this program in 2013, and Giselle Francis was on the program. Maybe you even encountered her. I don't remember the year exactly. She said that her father had contracted the virus and had returned to Dominica. I think it was 1981. I don't exactly remember. And he was actually in Dominica and living with. So I'm sure you would have passed through the doors of the hospital. I don't remember the first name, but definitely she spoke about that last week on the program. And here we are this evening, with you talking about having to care for persons with HIV and AIDS, and at the time not with much information and knowledge.
No, there was a lot of stigma and discrimination. I would go, and the streets were my office. By that time I had come from Jamaica. We had done health education, health promotion, or preventive medicine, and I was attached to the health promotion unit. So that gave me an opportunity to really work on the ground with them, and I just did not do the education. I took them for appointments. I went, some of them didn't want to go to the hospital. I went to take their blood, to draw their blood from home. I bathed them, washed their clothes, washed their plates, carried water. Sometimes I would meet the food outside the door. If I don't come, the relatives are afraid to bring the food inside. Take the food, go inside, feed them. clean them up, make them comfortable.
And it's not making excuses, but I think people just lacked education
Yes, yes.
as to what this HIV and AIDS was all about, especially in the earlier days.
Yeah, it came around slowly, but there was still that stigma, and still is today, not to the extent that it was, but it still is today.
Although Ms. Bethel, you don't hear much talk about AIDS anymore.
And it is there.
Is it because there's medication and people can live, a normal life almost with medication and HIV, AIDS?
I would say it's a little of everything. Neglect, just don't bother. A lot of because the institutions responsible for delivering this care to populations, they haven't got a pass on this. This education should be ongoing, because we still have a lot of people who contract the virus, and a lot of people who are living with the virus, but because of the progression in medication, they can live normal lives. But this does not negate the fact that the virus is still there. And I don't know what happened when I left, but the education should have continued, just like a lot of other stuff going on. So to enhance or encourage people to move on, I was not only stopping there. In 1987, I did my certificate in public admin as a part-time student at the external department. That is the same year I started having children. So I actually brought, right after I delivered, I brought this little baby to the class. And I continued there with Pommes, Clinton Richards, and Carol Chambers, and I completed it. It was part-time before going off to
Okay, so nursing school, and after nursing school,
I did midwifery in 1993.
You did
I became a midwife.
You're right. So after you left nursing school, you just went into the system to be a regular nurse. Take us through.
After I graduated as a registered nurse, I did midwifery in 1993, so I was attached to the Stronach ward, more or less the Stronach ward. And
that's where people have babies, right?
Yes,
right.
Yes. So I delivered a lot of babies, and then I wanted to move on. So after I did the certificate in public administration, I wanted to move to the district so I could get the district experience, so I could go to study. And when I went there, Mrs. Dorothy James, she encouraged me to become a health educator. So that is the time I made up my mind, and I went to study. I got a scholarship on the Friday afternoon. I will not say who the government was. And by Monday, the scholarship was taken away from me. But God again came through.
Why?
For absolutely no reason that I know of. God again came through. I had already checked with the aid bank. So I had this student loan waiting. So I just tapped into it and I was gone.
So instead of a scholarship, you know how to
I had to pay.
You had to pay.
Yeah, but that didn't stop me. I came back. And even when I left Dominica to go to this, I continued my education, my BSN program, as I told you. They want me to do the anatomy and physiology, and I'm holding out before I do the final course to complete my BSN. I studied alternative medicine, that is to do with the herbs and so, and I did legal nurse consulting. I became a wound specialist. So
what specialist?
Wound specialist, big time wound specialist in the city of Boston. Recorded big time. I'm no boss, but I got my because I've been there.
You can tap yourself on the back.
Yes, I've been there. That is to show people that we have that hidden potential. We each and every one of us have our strength. Find that strength within us and do what it takes to let it manifest. Work on the weaknesses, because each and everybody has a role that we can play and play effectively. So I became all this. I retired as a wound specialist. I worked in a big hospital, state hospital, and this is what I want to give back in that terms wounds, because
Yes, that is the area.
diabetic.
Have the worst interest in being in this.
You?
Yeah, I would have this.
No, this is
Just
it's
dealing
so
with
rewarding.
wounds.
It's so rewarding because wounds that even surgeons gave up on came to me, and I healed them with the grace of God. I healed them. They were baffled, and they wrote to the director, whoever it is that is doing this wound care. You can understand, wounds for grafting. By the time I done with the patients, no more grafting. So we all have, and this is just my God-given gift, because I don't know how I do it, but with faith in God, we are able to do what it is that we set out to do. We cannot do it without faith in God. I will forever sing it out. We have to keep close to God and be on the right track. You cannot be with God and be with the things of the world. I don't tell, we're in the world, but be humble, be respectful, you know, love people, give alms, go the extra mile, look out for the poor, the less fortunate, advocate for people. And these things come back to me. These things have come back to me, and they are paying off big time. Because life has not always been rosy, still is. Still is, because I got very sick in 2016. And I was like, excuse me?
What happened?
I got a lot of headache, and I didn't know what was going on. And when I saw I had it for a whole week, it wasn't going away. I almost fainted, and then I went to the hospital, and I found that I had problems with the blood flow to my brain. The artery was almost clogged up with inflammation. That's what got me on all these drugs for all these years, prednisone especially, and it just blew me up. I got diabetes. Well, the high blood pressure was already there, but it got worse, and I had to do something about it. And today I can gratefully say that I reversed diabetes.
You reversed diabetes?
I reversed diabetes. Right now, I'm not from 2,000 milligrams of metformin, 5 milligrams of glyburide to nothing, absolutely nothing, and I have normal blood sugars. Normal blood sugars. I even had a fat liver. I reversed. Diabetes can be reversed. We have to change the narrative and give people a little more hope.
How were you able to do that?
It's a long process, you know, let me tell you. It was overnight. The first thing every diabetic should invest in is a blood sugar testing machine. And I will say that because I did not believe in it initially. I didn't want to know what my blood sugar was. And it created more stress. But as soon as I started off, right now, even if I'm not diabetic, I test my sugar every day. And sometimes it goes so low that I still go back and test it. And sometimes it goes pretty low, down to 46 one day of these days.
That's dangerous though.
Dangerous, very, very dangerous. But if I did not test it, I would not know how low it can go. But for the reversing, treating diabetes is not a one-size-fits-all. It has to be customized. And I am trying to get on board to have a whole series as to how I did it. Because giving all the information one time is not going to work.
No.
You got to give it in pieces and let people find themselves. Let people take time, because you will not see change overnight. You have to be patient. You have to plodge on. You have to be patient, and you have to be consistent. You cannot, because to find out what foods affected my sugar and what did not affect my sugar, I had to start doing my blood sugar. I did it 5 times every day for 2 weeks. As I got up, before I ate, after I ate, breakfast, then before I ate lunch, after, and in the night. And then I was able to see what are the foods that spike. But even before that, I had to go on an appetite suppressant, because this is important. The normal response of the body, one of them is to feel hungry. We almost cannot stop it. But to help yourself, you have to have an appetite suppressant. And even if people say what they want, I'm saying what I did that helped me.
What worked for you?
What worked for me. And people are free to try it, not to try it, to want to try it or not to try it. But it worked for me, and I think it can work for a lot of people, because I see diabetes is a very, very common issue. And even now, this month, I went to church. I heard it was
diabetes month.
And
Yes.
I'm still looking for some information on the streets. I'm still looking for some information on the market. I'm still looking for some information on the buses, well, I don't really listen to radio or watch TV, but I just feel it should be more in the public eye, in the public spaces and places. The same way we have big loudspeakers going around, we should have these loudspeakers telling people about their health, about their social life, about what can be done. I see we're sitting on a respiratory system time bomb in Dominica. Too much smoke, and everybody wants to have a spliff in their mouth and be puffing in your face, and they messed up my throat in the markets because it was like one big jamboree of smoking, and everybody smoking and drinking. It's sad. It does not anger me as much as it saddens me. What is really going on in Dominica? I feel a sense of, and I see a sense of moral decay. There's so much, Ferdina, we could not finish tonight. There's so much that I'm sad about. I want to rise above the sadness, but I can only do so by starting to acknowledge that it is present and call out to the people responsible. Strategic planning. Are we having too many square pegs in round holes? We need to get people in who can do the job and who has Dominica at heart. And I'm not being political. I'm about people. P for politics, yes, but P for people. And that's where I lay my utmost strength on this.
Somebody might say you're advocating for yourself, maybe?
No, I'm not. I'm advocating for my people. I look around, I see so many people with very large abdomens, and I made a note of it that the heart problems, issues are going to arise. And we have to start obesity. I was morbidly obese, so I know what it is like. I'm not talking from away from the subject. I'm talking because I have been, and I cannot tell anybody who is obese that they're on the wrong track, they're on the right track. I can only help them get information to empower them and move on, because I have been there. I have been there. I'm not fat shaming, I'm not crying down, I'm not putting down. Even me, after losing so much weight, I come and people still say, oh, you're so fat, you're so thick. Come on, you don't know what I've been through. Get off my back. Hold off. You know, just respect me. I could be fat as the room. If you cannot contribute to me getting or losing the weight, move on and move out of my face.
That's right.
Because this is all some people want to do, just bring you down. Bring you down, embarrass you. But they don't know what you are going through. Not every person who is obese, who has extra weight, wants to be there. Respect them and help them. There should be a whole session of events, activities, veggies, vegetables. All this should play a big role. The amount people eat, the kinds of food people eat. I'm in the market and these people are selling the dashing and the fig and the stuff in their bags with KFC to bring home. I'm bothered about that. I'm troubled. And I don't say that nobody shouldn't eat a KFC now and again, but everything that we do should be done in moderation. What about people's health, their alimentary tract, the whole system? What about cleansing? What about teaching people to look after themselves? It's very simple. We just have to be consistent and persistent. And if we cannot change 10 people, we can change one. Go to the schools, let these children become the change agents, so they can go home and help their parents, their relatives become what they should be. Encourage their moms to cook healthy food. And I mean, we had this. Where has it gone? What happened? What happened? I cannot change the world, but I want to do something about it. I want to do something about it in Dominica. And I'm retired, and I'm now looking forward to working with whoever will accept me. I don't know everything, I'm still learning every day, but all the ideas are not in one head. And we have too much people, like they have the strong whip and they're ready to lash you if you don't do or say what they want you to do or say. We should rise above these things.
So what is it you would like to do for Dominica at this time? I heard you talking about your experiences with diabetes and how you were able to reverse it, and you're thinking of doing a series. I hope that you're going to do that series possibly on social media, if possible. I mean, social media just has so many possibilities that people can do things. YouTube, Facebook, whatever you choose to utilize. I think this is something that you should definitely get
we
going.
Can do it. We can
But
do it.
beyond that, Ms. Bethel, for example, I'm intending on returning back to Dominica at some point. And if you do return back to Dominica, how is it that you intend on contributing to what you speak of?
I want to return, but you know, I'll tell you the truth. With the situation as it is now, it's not good. It's sad. Because as I said earlier on, I'm a very observant person. There's that whole sense of moral decay I see. And that attitude of I can do what I want, when I want, as I want, because I can go to somebody that can shut you up or put you down or kick you out. We have to change this narrative. This is just destroying the country. And again, I will reiterate, it's not about politics. It's about people. I don't care if you're blue, black, red or blue or brown or purple. I don't care. That has nothing to do with me, your political affiliation. Your religious affiliation has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with me. I love you just the same. And my love is unconditional. I treat everybody the same. I want to do this. And I will not be able to just return here. But I can do virtual stuff. Like even the hospitals, the last time I came, I went to the Ministry of Health so I could set up something where I could start the wound, something, probably notice of the wounds, and give them the information that I learned that was successful. The wound vac is a powerful tool. And I don't think we have the wound vac here. I'm willing to train nurses to use the wound vac.
May I ask Ms. Bethel, do you think, so for example, we've seen a lot of amputations, and we know most times amputations begin with some kind of wound, that is probably unable to be managed, and therefore, do you think that if, for example, you are able to provide that kind of support, whether it be virtually or otherwise, do you think that probably a few more limbs would be saved?
Oh yes. Oh yes, I have faith in God that it can happen, because I did it in Boston. Top surgeons in Boston gave up on wounds, and the patient said they're not cutting their foot, and they sent them to me. No trigger, with a big cut from the big toe right down to the heel, and I cleaned it and closed these wounds. This is no lie. This happened. So why can't I do the same thing for my country? When I was working up there, I was all tied up and busy. I'm retired, y'all. I'm retired.
She's retired, y'all.
And I'm ready. I'm ready to make that difference, because we can do it. It's getting people on board. And to tell you the truth, there are a lot more people than we think that are interested in going that way. But they're hiding. They are out of sight because they're afraid of the repercussions if they come up and say something. But if we come together and share, storm out the ideas, we can make it happen. And it doesn't have to be anything, it doesn't have to do anything with politics. I don't want to hear that. I do not want to hear about politics. I am saturated. I don't want to hear it because it is not doing any good. Anything that is dividing, anything that is causing all that friction, is not good for people. It's just causing more and more stress. So many sudden deaths. So we have to look at these things. I cannot fix the world, but I know if a group of people come together, we can make a difference.
Have you had the opportunity this time around to again engage the Ministry of Health?
No, I did not, because I was busy trying to make some dollars.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. I had some dollars, I had some stuff I had to sell and give out, and I had to make, because I'm retired, I need money too.
Okay.
Because even though, I mean, on a serious note, people never lose use for money. So I have been thinking about all that, and I am trying to help people who cannot enjoy certain things be able to enjoy it at a much lower price, or just give.
Okay. So you've been doing some of that.
Yeah, and I have a whole shipment that I've looked around my house. I've gotten some stuff that I want to bring on. So I'm in the process of trying to ship it, but it's in bulk.
Okay.
So people can benefit.
So is it items like clothing and
shoes, household stuff, and
appliances?
stuff? Yes.
So.
Because when I was working, I was just buying. And then I look around the house, I said, what am I doing with all this? So I just put everything together in tubs. I fit tubs, barrels, boxes. And Dominica, here I come.
But you're leaving soon.
Yeah.
So how are you going to work that out?
I decided to come back. I'll be back. This is my country.
This is your country.
Spain. It's my country. Even if I'm an American citizen, I belong here. I belong here, and I had to move because I wanted better for my children. I had no intention of ever leaving Dominica. But when I saw what was happening, I had to move. Now they're grown, they don't need me. My country needs me. They need me, but not at the level that my country needs me. Because they're independent. I've instilled certain things in them which I think they're equipped to move on. It's up to them again. You can't force people. You can't change people, you can only change you. But you can give people information to help them empower themselves and change their behavior, their lifestyle.
You've been in Dominica for a little while.
About a month.
About a month. You've observed
A lot.
What are some of the things that you've observed, and some of the things that you would like to see changed in Dominica?
I will start off by saying that people should be more unified. People should be able to respect people regardless of race, color, creed, class, and political affiliation. There is a strong sense of moral decay. The institutions that are responsible, the health institutions, the religious institutions, should be more vocal on helping people, because that is what they are set out for. They are set up for, to help people to improve. When people start improving, then we can say that Dominica is improving. When people start understanding that there's more to life than just sitting on the roadside and smoking marijuana, or congregating in the market and smoking marijuana all day long and drinking alcohol all day long, then we can say we are improving. When the mental health issues are being addressed, I've never seen, and I'm not making anything up, I've never seen more mental health cases on the streets like I now see. I live in a small village in Dominica, and it is appalling the amount of young people. Mental health has been found wanting. And we cannot change everything, but we can go the prevention way. Prevention is better than cure. What it is that we are doing to help people stay on track. What it is that we're doing. And mental health can come in different ways. Mark, there are some people who are mentally ill for no fault of theirs because of the chemical imbalance in the brain. I don't want to sound too sophisticated for the people who really don't understand the mental health issues. But we have areas where we can work on prepare people for life, prepare young people for life. What is the legacy that we're leaving behind? And I never had to experience seeing so many people just walk in Roseau with this kind of clothes. They all loose and just, it's appalling. Where's the modesty? It's going, it's slipping away. People just feel they can come to Roseau with well, I see tight clothes is the order of the day. Apparently, I did not bring any.
You didn't bring
No.
any. Well, Miss Bethel, they might be saying that, well, you're maybe old, you're conservative, you're not in style, and so on.
I don't want to be in this style, because I mean, people can dress how they want. I cannot tell them,
that's their
but
choice.
I want people to understand there's that sense of modesty. We have to be modest, because if you're in your bedroom, it makes a difference as to be on the streets, and it reflects the whole moral issues, the self-esteem. I heard a young man call out to a young lady in the week, asking her not to come back Roseau with that kind of dressing. So some of the men are already being disturbed about it, and this must be known. Whilst we cannot tell them what to do, but we can encourage them to dress a little more modest. We're not going to them hard, because you cannot attract beasts of guys with vinegar. So we have to kind of tame them, talk with them, hear what they have to say, hear why they're putting it. They may be doing it for different reasons, and try to create a balance. Just try. You never know. We can succeed. But there's a lot that we can do, and I know we have the potential, we have the resources. We just have to put them together, put all our ducks in a row.
Ms. Bethel, we said this evening we were going to speak about mental pain and physical pain. We're going to take a quick break, give you an opportunity to sip some water. Let's talk a bit about the mental pain that you are referring to here. Keep it locked. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. Thank you so much for joining us on the program tonight. A reminder to you that this evening we're actually live. We're live on Q95 as usual, so that's a given. I always say to people that this show is a radio talk show, but of course, you know, we also allow the viewers on social media to get to at least see the guest and to listen from there if they choose to. So tonight we're actually live via the actual page of the show, the In the Spotlight radio show. We've had that page, we've not been utilizing it, and I decided, you know what? From now on, I think I'm going to go live via this page, you know, until we get around to, you know, how we're going to work things out in terms of YouTube. You know, YouTube gives me a little trouble because the theme music, they always say that it's claim copyright on it. Yes, so, you know, I have to figure out how to work that out before I go the YouTube route in terms of, you know, going live for the show. So don't forget, please, to just follow the page or like the page, as I said, whatever it requests from you. We also have a YouTube channel, Ferdina and Frampton, so please go there and subscribe and, you know, just follow and support our social media platforms as well. We're coming back in just a while. Thank you, Josephine Gabriel. Thank you, Akeem. Thank you, GK. Thank you, Q95. Thank you, listeners, fans, viewers of the program tonight. As you know, it's always a pleasure to be here to do this for you on a Monday night. Keep it locked. To do this program, Ms. Bethel advised me there's two things that she would really like to speak about on the program, and she referred to mental pain and physical pain. What is it that you would like to share with us, Ms. Bethel, where it pertains to mental pain, and what is mental pain?
To say the truth, mental pain is what people feel in response to social issues, traumatic issues, and even stress. And mental pain has been downplayed, not only in Dominica, even in the first world countries like America. You will get a quick response if a person has a broken arm or broken leg. But a person going through a traumatic event like a divorce, death in the families, it is not considered as much pain, and it is pain. And I'm here to say that mental health is just as important as physical health. And for my UMass Boston paper, when I did my BSN, I wrote on one of the topics, which was, is pain physical, mental, or both? And I did a lot of research, and I was able to understand even better that mental pain is so real, and it is being downplayed so much that many people are being affected and will be affected if they do not receive the treatment for their mental pain. And we know there are three types, but from a nursing health perspective, we know there are three types of pain. The nociceptive, which is from noxious stimuli, and we know there's the inflammatory pain that you get if you have a wound when the body is repairing itself, or the body has an infection where you have the antigen-antibody response, you get that kind of pain. But there is a third kind of pain, which is the neuropathic, or the dysfunctional pain. And this pain comes from the nervous system, whether the nervous system is diseased or not. So that is where the mental pain comes in. And people suffer mentally, and most people suffer in silence. But some of us are able to identify some of the people suffering, and we are not able to help them effectively. And I don't think the system, and as I said, please don't get me wrong, it is not only in Dominica. Psychiatric treatment, there's a taboo, a stigma attached. And people shouldn't be ashamed if they are depressed, because I remember many years ago, a psychiatrist came to the health center to give a seminar, and he had a little book in his hand. He said it's his mental health dictionary. And he says he could find a definition for each and every one of us in the room in his book. So we all are exposed to some mental pain at one time or another. But unfortunately for some people, they are not able to deal with it in an effective way. And they can do things that are very traumatic to themselves, or unfortunately deadly. And there is where I come to address the issue of so many young people on the streets. And people will jump and say, oh, they're on drugs, illicit drugs, or they do this, they do that. But step aside. We need to just step aside and look at this person. This is a human being. This is a human being suffering, and not suffering from a physical pain, but a mental pain, and see that person as that. And what can we do about it? What has the system put in place to address? I know we cannot talk about rehab here, probably we don't have the facilities, the resources. I will say probably, but if we try, we can. But the most important thing is the prevention. And I will always lean towards prevention, because this is where I'm at as a health educator, and this is where I study. The prevention. I tell people is not only starting the illicit, it's not only taking illicit drugs. The most important thing is starting. The problem is when they start. I had a patient who was in his 40s, and he says, not here in Boston, and he says to me, Debbie, I started taking cocaine on my 21st birthday party. At my 21st birthday party, a friend gave it to me. I got very sick that night, and this is his words. I vomited, and I have been on it ever since. Wow. He was in his 40s. So people don't get up and decide to go on drugs. People don't get up and decide to do things that's going to harm them. What are we putting in place to help people feel that there's another path? What are we putting in place to make people think that That's not it. There's so much more to life than drugs, than illicit drugs. There's so much more to life than selling or smoking marijuana. And I heard so many of them, when the market lady tried to tell them they cannot smoke, they said, oh, the prime minister, call the prime minister by name, say, oh, he legalized it. I said, the prime minister cannot legalize a drug like marijuana to be puffed in people's face. People are doing things that they want to do, but we have to put things in place to address it and enforce it. I said to the lady, we have no smoking signs in the market. The market has enclosed areas. Where are the no smoking signs? You have people who come to the markets that are asthmatics. You have them have had problems, and we know what smoking does to the body. It competes with the body for oxygen. So why are we exposing people to all this marijuana? It's absurd. And I didn't know that before. I've never seen that before. So many young men walking around with a whole long roll of spliff in them. And I respect them wanting to smoke the marijuana.
A certain amount is allowed now.
Yes, I respect that, but do it privately. Don't be in the public's face. You know, respect people's rights. I'm not against anybody doing what they feel that they want to do, but do it right. Because people cannot tell you what to do. You know what you want, but people can see when you are doing the wrong things. And puffing it in people's face, and I only found out it affected me when I went to church and I tried to sing. I could not. It messed up my throat. And I know there are other people suffering the same consequences. I see pregnant people, I see small children, I see all these people exposed to so much smoke all day long. So we have to enforce, we have to put things in place, laws in place, to enforce these laws. Let these people do their stuff. Some people said, the Prime Minister said it can be done in private. So why are they in the public doing it? So let's get on with the laws. Let's get on with the no smoking signs and make sure it is enforced. Because we need to save the respiratory systems of Dominica. And Dominicans, and I said that we are sitting on a respiratory illness time bomb. Because it will be a matter of time that people are walking around with oxygen tanks and they cannot afford it, so most of them will be empty. Because oxygen is important. So we are destroying ourselves, whilst we say we are enjoying ourselves. We have to go back to the drawing board. And we can do it. We have to come together. And one set of people should not be doing all the planning. We should involve, because I learned from health education, you have to have town hall meetings. You have to do needs assessment. Let community members tell you what it is that they want to live a healthier life. What is it that they need to live healthier lives? What must be put in place? You have to get it from them. And then we can decide what it is that we can offer to help them, because health is wealth. A healthy nation is a wealthy nation. We're talking about all these bad things that will keep us down. But what are the things that we are bringing on ourselves that can keep us down? We have to revisit those things and try to do something.
And the physical pain that you speak of.
The physical pain is a lot of pain that people will get if they get, say, like in an accident, like they have burns, and they feel pain. And this is greatly addressed. If you go to the hospital and you have a broken leg, go to the doctors, and everybody will be busy running around trying to fix it. And this is normal reaction. Don't get me wrong. This is what should be done. But if a person goes to the hospital and tries to say, oh, I haven't slept for 4 nights, I feel so depressed because I have a child who's giving me a lot of problems, or my husband or my wife is giving me a lot of problems, or family members fighting for land, and I haven't been sleeping, I'm losing sleep over it. We look at the person as, you know what, that can wait. You know, that can wait. Sit and wait a while. Whilst that person is coming in with pain, even if we cannot see it, pain is subjective, as much as we know that.
Pain of a different kind.
Yes, this is pain and pain is subjective. Only the person can say, I have pain. So when the person comes to you all depressed and anxious, I'm losing sleep, I'm hearing voices, I think I want to go and do something bad, we have to give it attention. So the mental pain is very, very important. It's as important as the physical pain. As much as we can run around and fix the broken leg and fix the appendix, take it out and make the person to have surgery for certain high-risk situations during pregnancy, we should be able to treat mental pain in the same, not the same way physically, but treat them on the level, give them therapy. You have drugs that can help with their mood, stabilize their moods. It have different things. Send them for mental assessment and health assessment. And don't just put them away and say, oh, it's wicked, they're wicked. We don't know. Pain is subjective. And we have to respect that. Only the person that says they have the pain can tell you. And you have to accept the fact in nursing, this has been coined the fifth vital sign, pain. After you do the temperature, pulse, respiration, after you do the vital signs that we normally do, you got to ask the person if they have pain. It is the next vital sign. And you have to rate it 0 to 10. And not only note it, you have to respond appropriately.
So don't just dismiss that element. Somebody comes and they're crying out, but the cry they're crying out is not physical pain.
Right.
It's a mental pain. It's a deep pain. It's a pain that the other person wouldn't understand. But we should pay the same attention that we would if I came with a wound.
Yes, you got it.
Nurse Bethel, it's already after 10, so we're going to start to wind down. 40 years as a nurse.
40
What has that experience been like? Tell me about some of those rewarding moments and some of those moments where you just felt like this is hard.
Sad. The rewarding moments was, there are many, but I will just name a few. Was when a patient comes in very sick and you can see that patient come around and be able to walk and go home. And sometimes I say very sick, meaning the person could be have had a stroke, or I worked a long time in labor and delivery. You have patients who come in high risk and they are taking all these injections, salt, magnesium sulfate for the midwives to help to save that baby, and eventually you see that they're able to keep that baby and the baby is born healthy. There are also rewarding moments in the wounds, and this was where I think in the scene I had a lot of rewarding moments. To see those wounds so big and then just down to nothing, completely healed. To see these patients not able to move or to do so many things because of wounds that limit their movements, and to see them walking again. And don't get me wrong, we have amputations in Boston too. We've had amputations, though it's not on the same level or scale as here, but you have patients who also are able to go to rehab and just function again to the best of their ability instead of giving up and saying, this is it. This is rewarding.
What about the times when you've looked back and said, this job is hard?
This job is hard. And I remember my last night before I moved to the district nursing, community nursing. I was working on sternal ward. And that night was such a hard night. I will never forget that night. I had 7 deliveries back to back. We were assigned either you're on the postpartum or in the labor ward. I was in the labor ward that night, and it was non-stop. When I was leaving in the morning, I said to the nurses, I threw a stone behind my back. I'm not coming back. Because it was a very hard night, but there's always that reward. And it comes with commitment, with dedication, respect, with dignity. You have to know that you're a nurse and what is it that makes you a nurse. It's the caring attitude, the unconditional love for your patients, the advocacy, educating yourself on different conditions so you can know even the doctor don't get it right, because sometimes you have interns, but you're on top of your game. You know when you can spot a made error. You can do things that can help to save your patient's life. And not just nurses or healthcare people. I encourage people to educate themselves. Your health is your responsibility. There's so much reward in just educating yourself, asking questions, advocating for yourself, being assertive, and getting to the point. Be focused on what you want and stay on it. Despite the odds, stay on it. Since you know what you want is good for you and for others, you stay on it, and eventually you will get the reward that you are seeking. Life is not an easy road. As I said earlier on, it has aches and it has pains. I've been through the good, the bad, and the ugly. But we have to always let the good cover the bad. Anytime the bad covers the good, it's not good, because we're only human. We'll fail, we'll fall, and we must tell ourselves we may be down, but we're not out. So we have to get up again and just keep moving and help others. My whole thing is about people. It's about people being who they should be. It's about people getting what they should get. It's about people being stress-free as much as possible. There are stresses that we cannot avoid. Yes, I accept that. But there are stresses that other people bring to other people. And these should be taken seriously. Because all of us have a right to be healthy and at peace. And being at peace is a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing. And we should also seek and fight for that peace. We should be peaceful warriors. Guard our base. Don't let anybody just come in and trample us or put us down. No, stand up. Stand up for what is right. Stand up for what must be done. And we will get it. In the end, Dominica, we can do it. C'est pays nous.
All right, so this is indeed the In the Spotlight radio show with Nurse Deborah, Bethel, and Nurse. We're coming towards the end of the program. I really look forward to when someone like you can return to Dominica and teach. Some way, somehow.
I'm looking forward.
You know, probably you can go to your lecturer at the nursing school. You know, I think you still have a lot to contribute. You are so knowledgeable, you are so informed, and what I love about you is that you are not selfish. You are willing to share, you're very caring, and I think you're so genuine with your intentions to help and to give back. And I look forward to the time. First, I think first things first, you have to get on social and begin doing those videos, yes, so that you can share with the wider public what it is that you want to share. And at some point, you know, if you can, return home and see how you can assist and contribute to the health sector here in Dominica in whatever way that you can, and that, you know, our people can benefit from all of that knowledge and experience that you've been able to garner over all of those years, over 40 years. I mean, that is a lot that cannot be bought, Ms. Bethel. It cannot be bought at all, and you know, this is something that you should cherish and you should value, and I think at some point you need to share a little bit more of that and come back home and help Dominica. I'm going to give you the opportunity to share your final comments with us. Please feel free to share anything that you may have left out or forgotten to share that you wish to, and you know, also give us a sense of where you go from here. I just said, you know, what it is that I would like to see, but just give us a sense of where you are now in your life and what the future still looks like for you.
Okay. Well, from speaking to you and what I'm seeing, I have already started writing a lot of the topics that I really want to speak about and to help people, educate people. As I said, you cannot empower people, you can give them information. To empower themselves, you cannot change people, you can only change you. But if I am there as an educator, I can learn from them and they can learn from me. Also, my family, immediate family, my children have been a lot of support to me. They have seen me even when I was very sick. I mean, one person would come and before you know it, they're all there in the hospital door wanting to know. So shout out to Kester, Karen, Kelman, Kel, and Elijah. Also their partners, Chanel, Lila, Lisha, Melanie, and my 2 grandchildren, Kyla and Kellan. I want to say from here, I hope it has started momentum. It has started something that can turn out to help improve a lot of areas in Dominica, because I'm willing to work across the board from my knowledge base in administration, in health, in culture, drama. I can work across the board, learn from people and let people learn from me. And again, I want to shout out to Mr. Goody. As I told you, that drama created a very much balance, and it just came to my mind that I should really reach out and say how he contributed. Other people have contributed to me, but he's the one who's most stuck in my mind.
Yes, he seems to have had the biggest impact
on and I admire how he just put these songs together. If those of us who sung plays, and it takes a great mind, a great sound mind. And people remember, God did not give us a spirit of fear. For those of us who believe in God, if not, whichever higher power you believe in, they did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, self-control, and sound mind. People need to work on what they know is right. And regardless of what comes, stand on it. And let's move on. We can do it. I want to just end it for a little something.
I was about to say you're free now to do so. Yes, you can have your sip of water, no problem. And as she's getting ready to do her song, I just want to say hi to Chanel. Yesterday we spoke, and you said you were in a little pain. I hope that you're feeling much better today. And this is a fight that Chanel is fighting.
I admire her. She's so creative, and she's just like not giving up.
She's been on the program, yes, and she shared with us her cancer story.
Yeah.
And I think one of those days I need to get her on, just to give us an update of how she's doing, and to just see what's going on with her.
Yeah.
But I know yesterday she was in some pain, so my darling, I hope you're much better today. And I also just want to, once again, I don't think she did because probably she got on to the program a little late, my sister Gail. She's celebrating her birthday tomorrow, so happy birthday to you again, Gail. We're both November borns, we're both Scorpions, for those who believe in that. I'm November 11th, as I said earlier, and Gail is November 16th. And, happy birthday to you. And happy birthday to all the November borns and all the Scorpions out there. Over to you, Nurse Bethel. What are you going to sing for us as we end? Okay.
Yes. So with that power, love, and self-control song man God gave us, always remember, say pain, don't let your children suffer. Say pain, don't let your children cry. For it's you and it's me, and it's one big family to put water in their eyes. Dominicans, I ask you, Dominicans, I tell you, Dominicans, I beg you, try. Things should be improving, we all should be moving. Listen and I'll tell you why. Say pain, don't let your children suffer. Say pain, don't let your children cry. For it's you and it's me, and it's one big family to put water in their eyes. APC non festa, y pa que ni deba, y pa que ni pièce toi ka. Mi joue la ka fini, les misères qu'est fini, tout le monde a nous chanté ça. C'est pays nous, don't let your children suffer. C'est pays nous, don't let your children cry. For it's you and it's me, and it's one big family to put water in their eyes. C'est pays nous, don't let your children suffer. C'est pays nous, don't let your children cry. For it's you and it's me, and it's one big family to put water in their eyes. Big up, Mr. Rimboli. I wish you all the best. And Anita too. All the past members of PAT, People's Action Theatre.
All right, Ms. Bethel, thank you so much for being here. It was indeed a pleasure having you. You were splendid. And I look forward to hearing from you. You know, I am having you message me tonight on your number. So I shall be saving your number and we'll be in touch because I suspect there's one or two questions that I need to ask you personally. So let's continue keeping in touch. You know, I try my best to keep in touch with all the guests, but I've had so many guests over the years that it's very hard to do that. But thank you so much for your presence here tonight. And I thank Chanel as well for
making it happen,
assisting us with that. I thank all the listeners of the program, all the fans. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As we continue to do this.
Thank you all.
Hear from you. If you have suggestions of guests or